Do you know which heroes are the strongest in the final stages of My Hero Academia? In this video, we're ranking the strongest heroes at the very end of the series. Will your choices match mine? Let's get started. In 10th place is Miroko, also known as the Rabbit Hero. She was once the number 5 pro hero and is currently ranked number 6, but do not be mistaken because her power surpasses most other pro heroes. Miroko's quirk is Rabbit, which grants her a physique and abilities similar to a rabbit. This gives her incredible leg strength, allowing her to leap and kick with massive force, along with exceptional hearing thanks to her rabbit ears. She also possesses animal-like instincts that warn her of incoming danger. During the Paranormal Liberation War, she was trusted with pursuing high-priority targets such as Dr. Garaki and Shigaraki. Here, Miroko fought alone against a horde of freshly awakened high-end Nomu. Despite suffering heavy injuries, she defeated many Nomu, even decapitating several of them, using only precise kicks and pure physical power. Her signature technique is Luna Ring, where she spins in midair, extends both legs, and unleashes a flurry of kicks strong enough to strike down multiple targets at once. Another move, Luna Tijeras, shows a more brutal attacking style, where Miroko clamps her opponent with her legs, twists her body, and severs the target's head in an instant before slamming it into the ground. Later in the final war, Miroko joined the heroes to face Tamura Shigaraki. Even while injured and at a disadvantage, she forced the villain to bleed with her attacks, proving that her speed and physical strength are on another level even when compared to the final antagonist. And that is Miroko, a hero who never backs down even when her body is covered in injuries or when facing enemies far beyond human limits. Her speed, strength, and unbreakable fighting spirit have made Mirko a symbol of pure willpower in the world of heroes. Next, in 9th place is Togata Mirio, best known by his hero name Lemillion. He was once considered the strongest student at UA, the leader of the Big Three, and most importantly, the top candidate to inherit All Might's power. It is no surprise that 8 years after the war, Mirio has become Japan's number 1 pro hero. Mirio's quirk permeation allows him to become intangible and phase through any object, whether it is a wall, the floor, or enemy attacks without taking any damage. His ability is one of the most formidable defensive powers, and the way it functions is strikingly similar to Obito's Kamui. However, this ability is extremely difficult to control. If he miscalculates the timing when returning to a solid state, he can be repelled out of an object or fall straight through the ground. To master this power, he trained for thousands of hours, calculating every millisecond when switching his quirk to reach perfect precision. In battle, Mirio moves unpredictably, appearing and disappearing while attacking from every angle. He not only avoids all strikes flawlessly, but also emerges from unexpected positions and lands blows so accurate that his opponents cannot react in time. During the raid on Kai Chisaki's hideout, Mirio Tagata fought Overhaul and his subordinate alone in a 2 vs 1 battle. Even while fighting alone to protect Eri, Mirio overwhelmed his opponents with speed, technique, and unshakable resolve. Even after losing his quirk, Mirio did not stop. He continued to fight, using only his physical strength to shield Eri. That moment proved that Mirio's heroism does not come from his ability but from his heart and his willingness to sacrifice. After the battle with Overhaul, it seemed he would never return as a hero, but fortunately, he later regained his quirk. In the Paranormal Liberation War, Mirio returned to the battlefield, taking on high-end, Nomu holding the front line and coordinating with the other heroes to stop the enemy from advancing. At the climax in the final war, his quirk became a crucial factor in stalling Tamura Shigaraki. He continuously relayed information and attacked from every direction, becoming the only member of the Big Three who was not injured when Deku finally arrived. Next, in 8th place is Tokoyami Fumikage, better known by his hero name Tsukuyomi. By the end of the series, he becomes the number 17 pro hero. His smart strategy and overwhelming power in the final war elevated him into the ranks of the most dangerous heroes of the new generation. Tokoyami's quirk Dark Shadow allows him to summon a sentient shadow creature, a being that is both powerful and difficult to control. In darkness, Dark Shadow becomes large and extremely strong, but also violent and harder to command. In light, it becomes weaker yet obedient and much easier to manage. This is a true balance between brute power and control, something Tokoyami spent years mastering to perfection. During the Paranormal Liberation War, Tokoyami first showed his real potential when he used his technique Ragnarok, a high-level release of Dark Shadow's power to confront Redestro, a foe with overwhelming physical strength. In that same battle, he also rescued Hawks from Dabi, showing unmatched reflexes and courage. By the time of the final war, Tokoyami shined even brighter. He coordinated with Hawks to face All for One using his technique Total Release, a full-power manifestation of Dark Shadow. Darkness covered his entire body, forming a monstrous exoskeleton-like armor that allowed him to strike All for One head-on, and even stun him for several seconds, a feat very few heroes would ever imagine achieving. Moving on, in 7th place is Takami Keigo, also known by his hero name Hawks. He is almost unbeatable when it comes to speed and combat intelligence. At the age of 18, he was already in Japan's top 10 pro heroes, and after All Might retired, he quickly rose to rank 2. After the final war, Hawks was appointed as the new chairman of the Hero Public Safety Commission. Hawks' quirk Fierce Wings grants him large wings with hundreds of feathers that he can control through his will. He can fly at near-sonic speed, attack, defend, and rescue people at the same time. Each feather can harden like a blade fire, like a projectile, or carry large objects to the extent that a single feather can support the weight of an adult. The feathers can also sense vibrations in the air, turning Hawks into a living radar on the battlefield. Since childhood, he showed incredible reflexes and natural skill when he single-handedly saved multiple people in a car accident, which became the moment that shaped his heroic instinct. The speed and reflexes of Hawks make him nearly unbeatable at mid and long range. He can eliminate a target from afar before the opponent can react, leaving small-time criminals no chance to fight back. However, Fierce Wings is not a perfect quirk. The more feathers he loses, the smaller his wings become, reducing his flight capability and attack power. When he loses all his feathers, it takes at least 2 days for half of them to grow back, which can be a major disadvantage. Fire is also the greatest weakness of this quirk, severely reducing his mobility. Even so, Hawks remains one of the fastest and smartest combatants in the hero world. He is not only a weapon of speed, but also a key strategist who has disrupted All for One's plans many times through his intelligence and bold decision-making. In the final war, even with permanently damaged wings, Hawks continued to fight alongside Endeavor, landing critical blows and supporting his allies in the life-or-death battle against All for One. In 6th place is Todoroki Shoto, also known by his hero name Shoto, a hero who can manipulate both fire and ice, and the son of Endeavor. Thanks to this ability, he became one of the strongest heroes in Japan, and many years after the final war, he even rose to rank 2. Shoto's quirk half cold half hot allows him to generate ice from the right side and fire from the left side of his body. At first, Shoto refused to use his fire due to his fractured relationship with his father. But after years of training and fighting, he learned to accept both halves of his power, combining them perfectly to create a balanced strength between extreme cold and extreme heat. This mastery allows him to unleash destructive attacks and maintain stable body temperature in any harsh environment. In the final war, Shoto displayed the most complete version of himself. He faced Dabi, his older brother, who was consumed by his own flames in an iconic battle between 2 opposing fires. Here, Shoto awakened a new technique called Cold Flames, a paradoxical power that uses negative heat to neutralize Dabi's overwhelming fire. By doing so, he not only stopped Dabi from destroying himself, but also helped the Todoroki family break free from the past that haunted them for years. Moving into 5th place, we have Katsuki Bakugo, also known by his hero name, the Great Explosion Murder God Dynamite, who became the number 5 pro hero many years after the final war. Bakugo's quirk explosion allows him to produce nitroglycerin-like sweat from his palms and ignite it at will to create extremely powerful blasts. The more sweat he generates, the greater the explosive force becomes. In the final war, Bakugo delivered one of the most impressive performances of his hero career. When All for One was chasing All Might and preparing to land the finishing blow, Bakugo appeared at the critical moment and used a powerful explosion to destroy the villain's arm, saving the mentor he deeply respected. After that action, Bakugo entered the true battle against All for One. With his awakened quirk, his explosive energy became denser and more stable, allowing him to unleash attacks of immense power. His speed became so great that All for One admitted he could not keep up, and each explosion propelled Bakugo far beyond human limits, turning him into a blazing burst of light ripping across the battlefield. Even though he was nearly exhausted after fighting All for One, Bakugo attempted to imitate All Might's victory pose from the Kamino battle, the symbol he always strived toward, but collapsed before he could do it. Before losing consciousness, Bakugo raised his remaining functioning arm and told Deku, "Give him hell." That moment marked the passing of determination between the 2 new generation heroes, where Bakugo, who once dreamed of surpassing All Might, entrusted his fighting spirit to the friend he always viewed as his rival. In 4th place is Enji Todoroki, also known by his hero name Endeavor. He held the number 2 position for many years, and temporarily became number 1 after All Might retired. He is recognized as one of the strongest and also most fearsome pro heroes in the history of Japan, even though he chose to retire after the final stages of the war to mend the wounds within his family. Endeavor's quirk Hellflame allows him to generate and control fire with almost no limit. He can create massive streams of flames that burn through anything in their path, and can even propel himself into the air, using the force of the flames beneath his feet. During the confrontation with the Paranormal Liberation Organization, he proved why he is considered a symbol of power. When facing Tomura Shigaraki at 75% body reinforcement, he unleashed a barrage of destructive fire attacks that nearly burned the villain's body to ash. Even Shoto Todoroki acknowledged that besides Izuku, his father was the only one capable of confronting Shigaraki head-on and surviving. Techniques such as Jet Burn, Flame Fist, and especially Prominence Burn, a blast of fire with heat strong enough to vaporize everything in front of him, have become symbols of his power. In critical moments, Endeavor also used a plus ultra Prominence Burn, pushing his body to its absolute limit to destroy high-end Nomu and injure Shigaraki, even though the heat of the attack burned his own body. By the time of the final war, he faced All for One directly. Endeavor poured every bit of strength he had left into the fight, unleashing Hellflame at full intensity to the point where he nearly incinerated All for One completely. If the villain had not used the quirk-destroying drug to regenerate himself, that battle might have ended right then and there. And now we've entered the top 3, starting with Star and Stripe, the strongest hero in the United States and the woman All for One himself, acknowledged as the strongest in the world. That reputation is not an exaggeration. All for One admitted he had planned to steal One for All before fighting her so he could survive their encounter. This alone proves the influence and overwhelming power of Star and Stripe. Kathleen Bates' quirk New Order allows her to impose new rules on any target with a single touch and a clear verbal declaration. Once the condition is met, she can alter the physical properties of that target, at will, strengthening herself, weakening her opponent, or even applying rules to the air to create massive constructs. The power of New Order is not limited to her body, but extends to the surrounding environment, allowing Kathleen to control objects like missiles or lasers with near-perfect precision. Thanks to this ability, Star and Stripe became America's ultimate strategic weapon, known as the Shield of the West and a symbol of hope during the darkest era of hero society. In her battle with Shigaraki, when he possessed up to 98% of All for One's total power, Star and Stripe confronted him alone without ever retreating. She used her quirk with flawless precision, creating a vacuum to prevent him from breathing and manipulating the air itself as a weapon. What the villains feared most was that if she cooperated with Midoriya, even at 100% of his power, the two of them together would undoubtedly defeat him. As the battle reached its peak, Shigaraki tried to blur his own identity to bypass the limits of New Order. However, Star and Stripe quickly recognized this weakness. Her quirk works best when the target has a clear sense of self, while those with fractured identity can slip past its effects. She immediately exploited this, placing an absolute rule. This quirk will revolt against all other quirks inside his body. That final command caused New Order to rampage inside Shigaraki, destroying many of the quirks All for One had accumulated and leaving him severely damaged. Even though her quirk was ultimately stolen, its power continued to tear him apart from within, slowing the development of his new body and giving the heroes of Japan the time they desperately needed to prepare. In second place is Yagi Toshinori, also known by the iconic name All Might. At his peak, he was the symbol of peace and Japan's #1 hero for many years. Although he was born quirkless, All Might inherited One for All from his mentor Shimura Nana, becoming the 8th user of this legendary quirk. With it, he could accumulate an immense amount of power, enhancing all of his physical abilities to the point where he was considered not only the strongest hero, but the strongest person in the world. A single punch from this man was enough to defeat almost any criminal or even alter the weather through the air pressure generated by his attacks. During his fateful battle with All for One, All Might received a fatal injury that cost him nearly all of his power, forcing him to pass One for All to Midoriya and officially ending the era of the symbol of peace. Even so, when the final war began, All Might still chose to fight. He donned the support armor known as Armored All Might, keeping the familiar smile and unbreakable spirit of the symbol of peace. Despite having a weakened body and no quirk, All Might fought to the very end, using every skill and experience he had to stall the enemy. It was the final battle of the symbol of peace where he proved that even without power, the heroic will of All Might would never disappear. In first place, of course, is Izuku Midoriya, the boy who was once quirkless but ultimately became the greatest hero after defeating Tomura Shigaraki and saving the entire world. In the final battle, Midoriya stepped onto the battlefield in a situation where almost no one could possibly win. Shigaraki had fully merged with All for One, possessing countless quirks and a body reinforced far beyond the limits of any hero. Even with many heroes joining forces, they were completely overwhelmed. But when Midoriya arrived, everything changed instantly. He became the only one able to stand against Shigaraki, giving humanity its final hope in a battle that would decide the fate of the world. To confront Shigaraki, Midoriya had to draw out One for All at its highest level. He activated every quirk stored within One for All, using Float to maintain aerial position, Danger Sense to read every movement, Smokescreen to obscure vision, Black Whip to maneuver and create anchor points, Fajin to accumulate kinetic energy and unleash bursts of speed. Finally, he used Gear Shift, the quirk of the second user, which allows Midoriya to change the velocity of any object he touches, including his own body. When combined with Fa, Jin Midoriya created a speed amplification combo capable of unleashing terrifying punches. This sequence of attacks formed the power of Detroit Smash Quintuple, where Deku repeatedly multiplied his speed and generated explosive force strong enough to pierce through Shigaraki's nearly unbreakable defense. Under the pressure of that power, Shigaraki tried every method to break Deku's spirit, striking with blows so lethal that a single direct hit could have crushed his body. But Midoriya did not step back. What makes him truly different is not only his strength, but his heart. Even when facing the most dangerous villain in the world, Midoriya still saw within Shigaraki a lost child named Tenko Shimura crying for help. And when Shigaraki unleashed an attack capable of tearing everything apart, Deku chose to sacrifice his own arms to protect that remaining spark of humanity. The moment he reached out with his injured hands toward Shigaraki caused the villain to falter, creating the first crack in his monstrous shell. That moment of hesitation opened the path for an inner struggle within Shigaraki, where he was torn between Tenko, his current self, and the domination of All for One. In that chaos, All for One exploited the moment of weakness to break free and regenerate himself once more right in the middle of the battlefield. After all these events, Deku proved why he deserves the top position on this list. Strength alone is not enough. It is his heart and his will to protect others that make him the world's final beacon of hope, and his journey is far from over. The anime has only reached its darkest moment while the true final battle still lies ahead. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of our upcoming videos.